we could spend the whole time on this, and you and I have spent lots of conversations on loneliness in the past. And in the last few minutes that we have, let's just talk about a couple of solutions to this. And let's start with where it really matters the most, or where it's probably going to be the most effective. What can families do to look after each other better, to decrease loneliness among their teens, their family members, their loved ones, anybody? What should we do as individuals with our families?
Yeah, first we've got to recognize that simply reaching out to one another and reconnecting is one of the most powerful things we can do to address loneliness. It might seem like too small an action against too large a problem, but this is actually how we foster connection. It's through the small conversations where we check on family members, we check on friends, and we help them know that there's no shame in struggling with loneliness, because many of us do. So that's one of the most important things families can do. The second thing that we can all do as families is we can support efforts in our community that bring people together to get to know one another, whether those are our faith organizations, whether those are community organizations like the Big Brothers Big Sisters, or whether it's the YMCA. We can get involved in those organizations. We can start to support and build efforts that bring community members together. My wife is very good at this. My wife Alice, who's an inspiration and teacher for me always, she has done this in our condo building that we live in. She's just decided that there's no reason we all need to be strangers living in this building. We can be a community. We can do it in very simple ways. Just sending an email telling everyone, hey, you know what? Why doesn't everyone come together? Come to the roof. We're going to order pizzas, and everyone's just going to have dinner on a Friday night together. Or hey, why doesn't everyone just come over on a weekend one day and bring your toys and your kids so they can all play with each other? These simple, small acts of community gathering can make a huge difference in how connected we feel. So it's small steps that ultimately will help us stitch together the social fabric of our country. But let me just lastly say this, Arthur, which is that any effort to rebuild social connection in our lives, I think, has to involve us grappling with the core values that we want to drive those relationships. Healthy relationships are not built on convenience or expediency, or they're not transactional. The most fulfilling relationships in our lives, the most healing ones, are relationships that are built on compassion and kindness and love. That's something that you and I both know. You've written about this and spoken about this. It's something that I came to see not only in my own life, but in the lives of the patients that I cared for over the years, who would often talk to me about the loneliness that they struggled with, and who came to reflect at the end of their life on what truly mattered to them. And in the end, in those final days and final hours, what they reflected on was not how big their office was, or how many followers they had on social media, or how much money was in their bank account. They all talked about their relationships, the people who loved them, the people who they loved, the moments of kindness and generosity that they had experienced in their lives. We don't have to wait till the end of our lives to remember that. And I think as families, as faith institutions, as communities, as leaders, and we're all leaders in different spheres of our life, this is a conversation we need to have. It's about the core values that we want to guide our lives, to be the foundation for the society that our kids grow up in. There's too much in our society that tells our kids that success is about being wealthy, famous, and powerful. And we're, as a society, pushing our kids to chase that. But we know that there are plenty of people who are wealthy, powerful, and famous and profoundly unhappy. People who tend to be happiest are the ones who experience love in their life, who give love, who receive love. And the best way we have of doing that is often in the context of our relationships. So that's why I think this is not only vital for us to focus on, but this is why families have such an important role to play, because they are, along with faith organizations and other core community institutions, the source of the core values that our children inherit, and I hope the source of values that will ultimately guide us in our decision making, not just about our relationships, but about what issues we advocate for, about who we choose to support, about the efforts that we contribute to in our communities.
It's a great note to leave the conversation. To wrap it up, I guess it's a fair summary of your views and mine, that happiness comes from loving and being loved. If you're going to resist something, resist things that make that harder, and adopt into your life the institutions that make it easier. Make sure that you practice it on purpose every single day by loving others, even when they're hard to love, and the reward will be abundant. We'll be taking care of the technological problems we've been talking about, but more importantly, the affairs of the heart that really make us all fully alive. For your work in keeping us not just physically alive, but fully alive as human beings. This is just the best way I can possibly imagine the Surgeon General spending his time, and I'm greatly, as a citizen of the United States and as a friend, I'm really grateful to you for what you're doing. Thank you.